Hello everyone, this is Johanna Batman from Shaker Heritage, and I'm joining you today with Halloween just around the corner tomorrow to talk a little bit about Shakers and Seances. So while Halloween traditionally is about warding off evil spirits and protecting from dangerous creatures, for the Shakers in contrast, communion with spirits could be a very joyful event. This is perhaps best illustrated by the era of manifestations, which began at the Watervliet community and lasted almost a decade throughout Shaker settlements. And this was characterized by numerous visitations, so spirits possessing brothers and sisters and communicating gifts, as they were called, messages of love and appreciation and guidance for the followers and believers. This, in some ways, kind of anticipated the spiritualist movement that swept through the United States after the Civil War. And in the journals of Watervliet, you can see throughout the 1850s and 60s and 70s, well after the end of the era of manifestations, you still see many accounts of visiting seances, of mediums being welcomed into the community. And in one case, even a seance was held in the 1848 meeting house of the church family. But today I want to focus in particular on one event outlined in the journals, which in 1878 was a seance with the Eddy brothers. The Eddy brothers today are somewhat infamous as a pair of brothers from Vermont who held seances that they claimed to project ectoplasmic spiritual manifestations, so an actual physical manifestation of a spirit brought to the stage. Today we know that they were employing a variety of often very simple parlor tricks to fool their audiences. And even in their own time, they were exposed. In this particular journal entry in February, elders from the Watervliet ministry arranged for a private seance in the town of Albany where the Eddy brothers were visiting. And the journal accounts vary in the credulity of the audience. Not all Shakers were quite sure what to make of what they had seen. But just a few short weeks later, it was published that the Eddy brothers actually had been arrested shortly thereafter in Albany for being frauds, essentially, for scheming their audiences out of money. Despite this, the Eddy brothers then went on to find a warm welcome at Mount Lebanon. So why would this be? In this case, Christian Goodwill, a Shaker scholar at Hamilton College, has actually dove into this in an article in 2015. But the Elder Frederick Evans of the Mount Lebanon ministry had a particular fervent defense of the Eddy brothers. And in his case, it's possible that this was a way of reconnecting with the spiritualism that really drove his conversion. His personal conversion story centered around a spiritual manifestation. And so for many Shakers, this was a fundamental part of their faith, and the experience of a seance could be an affirmation and a way of sort of sharing that with a wider audience, especially as spiritualism became so popular throughout the United States. So in July, just a few months after their arrest, the Eddy brothers hosted a seance at Mount Lebanon, welcoming over 300 Shakers from that community, as well as Hancock and Canaan. So, despite the questions and the doubts, and in some cases proof, there were many Shakers who were still at least curious enough to attend. And definitely it's important to remember that the Shakers are not monolithic. While their hierarchy was very rigid and authority came from the top down, the individual experience of being a Shaker and their experience of their faith was singular in every case. So regardless of whether they believed or not, though, it held a certain fascination, and I think it continues to for many of us today. So with that, I will sign off for today, but happy Halloween, and I look forward to seeing you soon.